Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you find yourself. Welcome to another episode of Demystify Tech with yours truly, Samuel Adjani. We do this Friday and every Friday as time and activities will permit us to stream live to you from our studios right here. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about everything AI. Everything AI this week has been crazy from DeepSeek to Janus to Alibaba, Qwen. I mean, it's a whole crazy week today. Stock markets 18% loss, Nvidia things tanking, questions here and there, privacy, all the people trying to make meaning of it. Well, what better show than Demystify Tech to also demystify it for you to the barest minimum. In today's episode, we're going to break it down. We're going to see what DeepSeek is all about, primarily how that's made up of, and then the concerns that a lot of you have shared, which is, privacy. So today I'm going to show you, apart from talking about it, I'm going to walk you through how to set up DeepSeek and other, AI modules, run them locally, test them out, and then we're talking about some things. Remember, today is also the AMA is the last Friday for the month, and therefore it's AMA for Demystify Tech. So bring all your AI questions, bring all your, deep sea questions, all the interesting things we can do, and we will sure to be answer. We'll sure to answer that for you. In the meantime, if it's your first time, I'll please request that you subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so that anytime we go live, you can get the information. So if this sounds like something you want to do with me, stick and stay. When we come back from our montage, we're going to get right into it. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Yes, we're back. We're back. Welcome again to Demystify Tech with Sam. If this is your first time, this is Demystify Tech, where we demystify technology for the modern developer. I have an intruder in my office. Give us a sec. Let me sort this intruder out. And we will be on our way. So, thank you so much. Um, so today we're going to talk about everything AI, specifically the conversation about DeepSeek, OpenAI, and all the crazy stuff. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to look at what the whole thing is about, how to use it, but more specifically, I'm going to walk you through how to run it locally, and that's what we're going to be doing. Give me a sec. I'll be right back. I need to ward off all this domestic intruders just to make sure that, sorry about that, when you have a lot of domestic intruders, that's what happening. So if this is your first time joining, please smash that subscribe button, smash the notification bell thing, subscribe, share it, invite friends to join. So before we get into it, as usual, you know that before we get stuff going, i like to share a couple of things for all of us, so we can stay safe. So before we get into it, I also want to bring your attention to a product which we launched beginning of this month. And if you've been a victim of mobile money fraud, you sent money to the wrong person, people have scammed you from WhatsApp, from messages, platforms, and you're like, I should have known. Well, worry no more. I bring to you good news. I bring to you Fraud Wall. It's a service or platform we've created, myself and my team, which allows you to go there to verify numbers if they are fraudulent, and then also report fraudulent numbers so that we can block them from committing the fraud again. We have three platforms as of now. The web portal, which is go to www dot, as you can see from here, if only I can get my mouse to, there you go. So if you go to fraudwall.ai, you can use the web version to verify numbers before you send Momo to them, or to report numbers that have scammed you with the evidence you have. This is available globally. We also have a Telegram bot. If you go to Telegram, be on the lookout for the Fraud Wall bot, and you can also use that to verify and also report numbers. However, if you are in Ghana, we also have provided a short code which is star 920 star 419 hash. This is only for verification. You can, start this on your phone and then verify the number to make sure that it is not scam before you deal or do any business with them. So, with that out of the way, hot topic this week: DeepSeek. 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 Uh, very, very interesting conversation. How do you call it in DeepSeek? And I know that a lot of you probably one way or the other have tested it or have gone quickly to go download it to look at what DeepSeek is, what it does, and all that. Well, today we're going to be trying to demystify that, for you to understand how that works. So, DeepSeek is well, obviously it's one of those how do I call it, AI models that allows you to leverage AI for, in this case it says that it allows you to for scientific or complex activities. Well, we'll go to DeepSeek itself and ask it what it is, talk to it, and try to find how to use. But today specifically just to talk about a few of the key things about it. It was interesting that it raised a lot of conversations and our concerns, actually causing Nvidia to lose about 18% on the stock market. The big fuss about it is that it was developed with less budget, about $6 million, more than what OpenAI and all the other, third-party other giants in AI used. It used a very small team, and then it leveraged low-powered GPUs. Actually leveraged the Nvidia H800s, and that was because there was a ban. US had a ban that some of these GPUs and chips should not be sent to China. So the guy who was the hedge fund guy actually bought a few of the H100 GPUs, kept them, and that was used to train the model. Now, what does this tell us? I said earlier on a different workshop or stream, which is a famous quote by one of my great sages, says that do not throw hardware to software problems. And I'm going to repeat, do not throw hardware to software problems. Now, what the team at DeepSeek sought to do was to show us that with the minimal or not the highly performant GPUs, they were able to build an efficient model that is at par with ChatGPT-O. And that's an interesting thing. So use the less budget, almost as efficient as it. And we're going to look at the numbers. Let's look at DeepSeek benchmark. And it's interesting. It's interesting how a lot of talk has emanated about how it is at par with it based on the fact that it was trained with the least amount of money. And if you look at it, so if we go to, so that we put it in a bit of perspective. So what you're looking at right now is, the benchmark, right, for performance. So DeepSeek is the, blue with the stripes, and then you have, that's V3, right? And then there's a DeepSeek V2.5. And then we're comparing to the likes of GPT-4o, 4o, Cloud, and so on now. And then not to mention that Alibaba also released the Qwen 2.5, and sorry if I'm butchering the name, but Alibaba also released Qwen 2.5, right? And if you look at the benchmark, right? So for math, for the different benchmarks, as you can see, it's like DeepSeek is outperforming GPT, Cloud, Llama 3.1, and even Qwen. Qwen is even at some point now, well, as of yesterday, Qwen is also saying that its deployment or its release also surpasses DeepSeek, right? So it's interesting. Take away from that is the fact that if they can achieve this with less budget and a small team compared to what Meta or OpenAI or the other giants are putting to it, the team itself, if they can do this with that small budget, what does it mean? What does it mean for the competition, right? Does it mean, well, to us, AI is going to be cheaper, it's going to be more competitive, more efficient, more powerful for us to use? That's food for thought, something we need to look into. Now, I'm curious to share with you a few things when it comes to, some of the ways that this model was built. The first one was leveraging what they call the reinforcement learning, right? So look at it this way: the difference, or just to explain it to a layperson, the difference between DeepSeek and what OpenAI has is, so DeepSeek is like that student where you a student who pays attention in class, is taught something, and then goes ahead to be like self-taught using the same principles to try to understand it on its own, even do more things, right? That's DeepSeek. Versus OpenAI, Llama, and the rest, which is what reinforced learning with human kind of like intervention, or human approval. That's a word for it. I'm blanking on the word. But what that happens is that is synonymous to the student in class who pays attention to instructions and then performs well, and that's it. Doesn't go beyond what they are taught. So what DeepSync did with the reinforcement learning was also to add some reward system, that some what they call the emergent behavior network, right, which allows it to, based on what you've taught it, it tries to learn and do things on its own. And they've added a very special reward system that anytime it's able to do something on its own, it adjusts the rewards to make sure that it's doing it well. Then there is also something called distillation. And this is where there's a concern. OpenAI and the rest are saying that DeepSeek actually picked their, data and stuff to do it. So what distilling does is that you use efficient knowledge transfer techniques. So what does it mean? So take, for instance, let's say GPT-4, right, 4.0. That's a huge one. That's a very efficient one. You take that model and you use that model to train a smaller model. So what's going to happen is that you don't need that big data set to train your new model. So distilling is more or less like cloning, for lack of better words, but that's part of what they used. And then also a key thing they did was actually working on the engineering. Because they had limited GPU power, they were forced to be able to utilize the memory and the GPU efficiently, to the point that now their papers have suggested that you don't necessarily need the beefy GPUs to run an AI model. What this means is that if you have a regular gaming laptop or gaming setup, you can run your AI models efficiently on those ones without having to use quantum computers or high SKU GPUs, right? That is what DeepSeek did. And I know immediately the conversation is, oh, let's try them side by side. Let's see how we're going to use them. Yes, we're going to take time. We're going to do that. It's just about 15 minutes into the show, so we're going to do that. So whilst we're doing this, feel free to drop your questions in the chat. I'll try to answer them whilst we do this. Now, DeepSeek actually has got a few language models, right? So it has a DeepSeek Core, the DeepSeek Coda, which was released in November 2023. Then it has a DeepSeek LLM, which was also released in December 2023. Then there's a DeepSeek V2, which was released in May 2024. And then the DeepSeek Coda V2 in July 2024. Then they released the DeepSeek V3. So if you go to the DeepSeek website right now and you don't enable the deep thinking, it uses the recent V3. But the deep thinking is the R1 module, which was released this month, or within a couple of weeks. And to make it worse, they went ahead to release the Genus Pro 7B, which is a multimodal image generation and interpreting or understanding model. What does that mean? Well, if you take an image generation model like DALL-E, Midjourney, and all those ones, right? What it does is it's able to generate an image based on your prompt. That's one, right? That's one model. Now, or you give it an image and then it's try to describe or tell you what's in that image. That's another model. But what DeepSeek has done with Janus Pro 7B is to build a multimodal model that combines the two, and is giving some very impressive results, though not high quality as compared to the others, Midjourney and Runway and the rest, but much details, and it can only get better. And catch this: DeepSeek was not the actual major project that the company was working on. DeepSeek was actually like a side hustle that that they were doing. So enough with the talking. Let's get into it, and let's go ahead and take a look at DeepSeek itself. So let's go to, I think I already have it open somewhere here. So let's go ahead and bring it in here. So DeepSeek. So what I'm going to do is that, so I'm going to actually, let's go ahead and close this, delete this chat and start again. So if you go to chat.deepseek.com, and this is what I'm saying, right? By default, if you come here, it is using the V3, right? It's using the V3 model, right? So if I say, tell me about yourself, right? So now the thing is, we're going to try to compare DeepSeek with with ChatGPT. All right. Now I am using the web version, guy. There's also the mobile version that you can download from their website. I know. Before we get there, there's always a conversation of privacy and the fact that if you use the web version of DeepSeek, your data, your keystroke, everything is going to the China People's Republic of China. They can use it to do whatever that was. Yes, that's fine. And that's the reason why in today's episode, if you're the type that is worried about using the online version and having it, go somewhere to another person's cloud, I'm going to show you today how to run this model locally. If you don't have a gaming, how do you call it? If you don't have a gaming rig, I would also show you it's also good to know that as of, I think yesterday, Azure's AI Foundry, formerly Azure AI Studio, has now made available DeepSeek as part of the models in the catalog, and therefore you can go there, try it in beefy spec machines, and without the fear or worry that the information is going to somewhere in China, if that's the worry you have. So let's look at this. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in ChatGPT as well. And don't worry, I am a very heavy user of ChatGPT. So so I'm going to ask it the same. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to do some side-by-side tests. I remember my benchmark might not be entirely accurate because it's the same machine I'm running my live stream from, the same machine I'm going to run all these other tools I'm going to do today from. So it might not be a vivid benchmark, but you can see the difference. So now I'm going to, let's see if I can, we'll move this here, and then we'll move this here, and then we'll close this. So now, side by side, I have DeepSeek on the left and then ChatGPT on the right. So I'm going to use the same prompt here. Tell me about it. So, and then we'll go, and now let's look at, so now what ChatGPT is doing right now is that because I've been using ChatGPT to do a couple of things, it's leveraging the concept of first principle, because I've been using it to do some stuff. It's just bringing back, the thing. So when we ask DeepSeek, tell me about yourself, say, hi, I'm DeepSeek V3, an artificial intelligence assistant created by DeepSeek. I'm at your service and will be delighted to assist you with any inquiries or tasks you may have. Same question to ChatGPT, and it says that I'm ChatGPT, your assistant. I can help you code, research, write, and brainstorm, and I keep track of your project. Interesting, so can we steer it? So this is just, it's telling me, hey, and it's telling me all the things I'm doing with it with first principles. All right, so that's fine. Okay, so now, like I mentioned, the cool thing is that if I want to get more detailed reasoning, I can go ahead and click on the deep thinking. So I don't have the version. So as of yesterday, ChatGPT also released something called deep thinking, which is almost synonymous to what DeepSeek has R1, which also allows you to do that. But let's take a look at this. Let's see, what can you, or let's do this. Let's do describe. Let's do describe AI. Oh, what have I typed? AI to me like X. Okay, let's say X. No, this not describe. Let's do this. Let's see. Okay, so let's do explain, there you go, fix this. Explain to me what AI is like I am a 5-year-old, right? So let's copy the same prompt. We'll give the same prompt to DeepSeek and we'll give the same prompt to OpenAI. Now, so you can see what's happening. If you look on the left, what DeepSeek was doing is that almost immediately, DeepSeek is using the concept what we call chain of thoughts, right? So even though ChatGPT is done with what it is, you realize that DeepSeek took 7 seconds, according to what it says here. It took 7 seconds to think, right? Now I'm using ChatGPT or I'm not using the reasoning, advanced reasoning, and I can change it and ask the same question again, so we see the difference. But see, it's giving you its chain of thought. It says that, okay, the user wants me to explain AI to them as if they're 5-year-old. Let me think about how to simplify this. First, I need to use metaphor or analogy that a child can understand. Maybe something they interact with daily, like toys or games. AI is like a robot's brain that's too vague. How do you explain learning? So it's giving you its chain of thought before it comes to the response. So now let's take a look at the two responses. So DeepSeek says that, sure, imagine you have super smart robot friend who can learn super fast. If you show it 100 pictures of cats and dogs, it can figure out how to tell them apart. Or if you tell it a lot of stories, it can make up new stories just for you. Then AI is like that robot's brain. Grown ups teach it by giving it tons of examples like puzzle words of games, and it learns patterns to help understand questions, draw pictures, or even play games with you. But remember, it's not alive. It's not alive. It's not like us. It's more like a super helper that's really good at guessing. Now, let's take a look at what OpenAI says. It says, all right, imagine you have super smart robot friend. Now, I see that most of them are using the analogy of robot, right? Who lives inside your computer or phone. This friend called AI, artificial intelligence, can learn, think, and help you with lots of things, like answering questions, telling stories, or even playing games. It's like a magic brain that doesn't need to eat, sleep. The more it learns, the better it gets, and helping you, just like how you learn new things in school. AI learns from you and practice. For example, when you ask Alexa or Siri questions, they use AI to find answers. So, two distinct answers. Now, I'm going to change this to GPT 01, okay? And I would ask it to, let's say, what else? Let's try this one. Why is the sky blue? Now, take a look at this. Now, this question, again, let's see. Yeah, let's just say, why is the sky blue? We'll not make it. We'll try to use the same thing. So here and here. Now they are both in the reasoning and thinking phase. Now already DeepSeek is giving you its chain of thought, and now ChatGPT is giving you. So let's look at this. Now it says that unlike ChatGPT, DeepSeek actually walks you through what it's thinking and how to craft and tell you. So it says it did this for 6 seconds. ChatGPT says it thought about it for 8 seconds, but then, this is fun. This is a fun one. Imagine sunlight is made of all the colors, like a secret rainbow. When the sun shines on Earth, the blue part of the light loves to bounce and dance in the air, like tiny blue fairies playing tag. The other colors, like red or yellow, are shy and just go straight, but blue is so excited. It scatters everywhere, and that's why the sky looks blue to your eyes. Psst. When the sun sets, the light has to travel further and blue gets tired. Then the shy colors like orange and pink come to play. Now, I see what is happening right here. So DeepSeek actually remembered that I asked for explanation as a 5-year-old, and therefore it's continuing that line of thought as a 5-year-old, right? Now, let's see what ChatGPT did. It says, imagine the sun also like, okay, so imagine the sun like a rainbow made of lots of colors. When the sun comes out to Earth to meet tiny bits of air sky, these tiny bits are, air bounces and colors of light around. But the blue color likes to bounce around much more than the other colors. Since we see the colors that being bounced around the most, the eye. So so it's almost close to what they've all learned and how they present it. But you realize that with DeepSeek, it gives you some interesting and in-depth line of thought, right? So I'm going to ask them one last question, and then we can move to, now we see how it works. How can we now I'm using it online, right? So yeah, all my keystroke and everything is going to wherever I'm doing. But then I'm going to walk you through how to run it locally, and then some ideas I have that I'll be testing over the weekend. So let's ask it, are you an agentic AI or a generative AI? And what are your strengths? That's if I even spelled it well. So let's do this. And let's ask them the same question. So go off here, go off here. Let's just going to correct it in V. Okay. Again, reasoning, and almost immediately, DeepSeek is showing you again, chain of thought. It's showing you, this is what I'm thinking of. This is how I'm going to. So you can see its line of thinking, right? Then, so here, DeepSeek says I did this in 12 seconds. ChatGPT says I did this in 8 seconds. So let's look at what it says. So ChatGPT says I'm a generative AI, specifically a large language model in simple terms. That means I'm designed to create or generate text based on the questions or prompts I receive. I'm not agentic AI, meaning I don't make decisions independently in the real world or take external actions on your behalf. Instead, I respond and adapt to your prompt in order to provide useful information or generate creative text. And also, I'd like to share that ChatGPT has also introduced the concept of operators that is able to do tasks for you, and you can try that. If you go here, you can see ChatGPT schedule task code, and then there's an operator where it can actually do stuff in the background for you. You can set reminders and do that. That is getting close to an agentic AI, but that's not agentic. Now, it says its strength, language generation communication. I can produce coherent human-like text in a variety of styles, whether it's for writing emails, essays, story, or even poetry. Knowledge retrieval and explanation. I have been trained on large bodies of text, so I can often explain concepts, offer clarifications, or present information in a variety of ways, ranging from simple explanations to more technical ones. Creative ideation and brainstorming. From brainstorming product ideas, character, backstories, or project plans, I can help you spark new ideas and refine them. Problem solving and guidance. So this is what ChatGPT says it can do. Now, let's look at DeepSeek, the new kid on the block. Even though Alibaba Qwen 2.5 says it surpasses DeepSeek R1, well, we'll see about that. So it's telling us, okay, it's asking. So it's going through it, and it says, hi there, I am a generative AI, which means my superpower is creating things like answers, stories, or ideas based on what I've learned from lots and lots of examples. Think of me as a super fast helper who loves to share knowledge or brainstorm with you. My strength, look at the structure. The main definition, and they come up with a structure. My strength, 1, I'm a great explainer. I can break down tricky topics like why the sky is blue, and look at that again. Concepts or principles of, first principles, what we've been talking about. It's infusing what we've talked about into that conversation, right? Then it says what? Creative body. You need a story, poem, or even a joke. I'll whip one out for you. Multilingual friend. I can chat in many languages, though I'm still learning some. Always ready, no coffee breaks. I'm here 24/7 to help you with homework, curiosity, or random questions. But remember, I am not alive or conscious. I can't do things in the real world like fetch your toys. I'm here to chat, learn with you, and make ideas spark. I disagree with that. I can leverage this to connect to my IoT robot and tell it, hey, tell my robot to go bring my toy, and the robot can navigate to bring it. So that is debatable. But again, that's not the concept of this. So as you can see already from the conversations we're having, I'm liking, the tone and the chain of thought that DeepSeek gives. And this is the case where, I mean, it's good to try them side by side. And I keep saying that, look, all AI or AI platforms, do well in one way or the other, right? So it's good to try all of them and use them, compare it and use it efficiently. So with this said, let's see. Let me bring in, where is our Qwen? I don't think I have an Alibaba, but don't worry, we have ways to try it. So now that we've seen the difference, I could also ask it to code something for us and play in the browser. Actually, let's try that and see what it does. So this is Alibaba's Qwen, or Tonji Qwen. I hope I'm pronouncing it well, which says that it surpasses DeepSeek, right? R1. Now, this is a family of models. They have the core model. They have the VL, which is a vision language model. They have the audio, which is a large audio language model. And then they have the Coda, which is open source model for obviously talking text and writing, helping you with programs. And then there's the math, the one specific for math. I haven't tried this in their browser or anything yet, but this is where it gets interesting. So now I'm going to walk you through how you can run this module and show you a very cool tool that will even allow you to test both models at the same time. So that if you feel I don't want to deploy it on how do you call it? I don't want to run it in their cloud. They're going to take my keystroke and all that. Worry not. That's why today's session is there. And whilst we're doing that, remember that you can always drop in your question, because today is also Ask Me Anything about the AI. Now, I'm going to show you some of the cool too. Huggy Face. This is a place where, trust me, you can almost get access to all the AI models to use, right? Sign up and you can have access to all the models to play with. And you can see DeepSeek AI R1 is there. DeepSeek Janos, the Image 17B is there. They have V3. They have different ones. Even I think they have the Qwen one, right? So giving you tools you can use to test models out. One of your cool places you can go to is Huggy Face. They almost always have almost all the models available for you to use. Now, when you use the model, right, you have it, you can test it, you can use it, but sometimes you want to have the same UI or US experience, and that's what I'm going to show you. So to do this, we need to go to, I don't know if you've heard about it. Let me close all this thing here. You need to go to ollama.com. Just go here. This is the first place we're going to go to start to run the models locally on our platform. Now, Ollama means just is Open Llama, right? So this is kind of like a utility that allows you to run locally almost, or as you can see from here, if you can see from this side, almost all the latest or mentioned models locally, right? So this allows you to run it locally. You will need to have some amount of, specs on your machine, at least a gaming rig. And that's what I'm saying. So this is the first part. If you have a good spec of a gaming rig or a machine that has some good memory, some good GPUs and some good storage, you can test it locally, right? So that's what I'm going to show you. But if you don't have it, you can use places like there is Perplexity, there is Chatbox, there is Azure Foundry, Azure AI Foundry, where you can test it in the cloud, which is not directly connected to wherever the model is coming from. So in this case, if you test DeepSeek, which is now available on Azure Foundry, you don't have to worry about it going directly to DeepSeek and yourself, because it's open source. It's being deployed on Azure. So let's look at that. So go to ollama.com and download it, right? So when you download it, you can download it for Mac, Linux, and Windows, all right? And then in my case, I'm using a Windows machine, so I can download it and then I would run, right? So I already have that installed. So I'm going to open my terminal. Once you do that, it's going to show in your terminal. So let's keep the terminal here for now. Now, if you go to models, right, at the top here on the Ollama page, okay, if you click there, you're going to see all the models. So you can see DeepSeek R1, Llama 3.3. There is a Microsoft 5, which is a small model. You see Llama 3.2, Llama 3.1. You see Qwen. You see is here. You see Qwen 2, Qwen 2.5. All the models are here, right? Now, how do you use these models in Ollama once you've downloaded? It's as simple as this. If I want to check, since we want to test DeepSeek, so I can go here. Now, remember, like I said, now, the whole concept of basis for AI models is the size of data that is used to train it. You can see that DeepSeek has got the 1.5 billion, 7 billion, 8, 19, 14, 32, 70, and 671 billion data sets. All right. Each of the data sets, and here's the case, the larger the data set, the smarter the model, and sometimes the slower the response. And the smaller the model size, the dumber it is, but the faster. I hope that makes sense, right? So if you want to use this, all you need to do is, you can see the models, is the parameters. So the model is, I will need, if you look closely here, if I want to run, you can see the version. The default one to be used on your machine locally on a gaming ring is the 7B or the 7 billion parameters one. And that says that if I want to run the model, I will need about 4.7 gig of space on my machine to run the model locally. Locally, it is not connected to DeepSeek, it's just running locally. You can do a lot of things on it, all right? So if that's what you want, you can say maybe you have a lot of space, which is the 671 billion. But take a look at that. The moment you venture into this space, you know that you're going to need 404 gigabytes of space. 404 gigabytes of space. But guess what? That is what I intend to do. The same thing that I'm going to do. Let me take you to the bench. You see this? This here is Dell, it's a very old Dell PowerEdge R410, right? That I got, and I kind of like added a few things. I just made some changes to it. It is running, I believe, about 128 gigs of memory, and it's running 13 terabytes of hard disk space. So my plan is that what I want to do is that, like, using the same principles, I will try to deploy it, or I'll try to deploy the whole 671B on this server, and it's going to be noisy. But then that means that now I have the entire DeepSeek biggest model, fastest model on this local premises, and I can connect it to my environment where my staff and my workers and my people can use, and we can even add our own, ground it with our own model, or even do some kind of RAG on it. Who knows? So that's what in the long term I'll do. But I also want to explore the possibilities of using the NVIDIA Jetson Nano, right? Put some external things and try it when. So these are ways that you can host your own LLMs or AI models. So if you're doing any robotics thing and you want it to be very smart and stuff like that, you can leverage this. So I'll try to do this as well over the weekend, or I have this, Intel NUC. This Intel NUC, PC here. Also, I can try to run it on it to see what happens. So you can run locally, and test it out. So that's what we'll be working. Or if you happen to have a Raspberry Pi, you can also try to run it on a Raspberry Pi. Well, so far as you have enough space on that. So we're going to do the 7B. So to do that, check this out. To do that, all you need to do is go to Ollama that you've already downloaded and installed, and run this command, right? So I'm going to go ahead and copy it, bring my terminal in view. Don't worry about that. Let's open the terminal again. Uh-oh. What's happening to it? Install the latest version of... I hate this. Okay, let's see this. Let's do win get. Oh my posh. No, something is happening. Let's see if I can do. Huh. Let me do the command prompt and see. Guys, something close. I think something just happened to my terminal. Let's run this again. Ah, no, 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 dun, dun. Okay, let me do this and see. Ah, so there's something clearly wrong. I hope I don't have to. I hope I don't need to restart this because it's this strange. Okay, you know what? Let's try this. Okay, you know what? I'm going to do this again. I would not. I refuse to restart this machine. I'm going to try to run it. I've already downloaded it though, but I'm just going to try to run it again. I think there's something in there's something in the background of my, so you can see I ran the Olama setup here. So I'll discard that. Or let's just go, well, I don't need to download the game. Anyway, I'll do that again to see. It's strange because this, I hope it's not so, don't restart your machine. Nope, nope. I am not going to restart my machine. Okay, so let's see if it's done. So the tool, we're going to use a couple of tools. I'm going to show you different tools, right? So Olama is your best bet if you want to try other models locally and all that. So Olama is the best tool. Then we're going to talk about the other. Now, there are other interfaces that you can use that directly can allow you to test the model, right? But I like one that I can run locally, which allows me to pretty much do some interesting things. So I'll show you that. So I'm going to go ahead. I'll try to run this thing again. I'm not sure what's going on here, but one thing I know is I've been running my laptop the whole day, and let's do this. And feel free to drop your questions in the chat. If you have any questions, feel free to drop it. Let's do a quick setup is inspecting. So if you download Olama, I've already installed it. I think my machine is just being petty. So the parent install Olama. My machine is just being petty about something. Either there's something that I've run that I need to restart it, but I've told myself I am not restarting the machine to stop the stream. No, I'm not doing that. So let's try to run this. Okay, so once that's happening, the other tool that you can use is you can use what we call the LM Studio, which I have also already downloaded. So there is the LM Studio. You can either, you download it and it downloads the model. So I'm going to run LM Studio as well. Or you can use another one called the chat box. So I'm going to show you all the UI or tools you can use. Some of them are online. And there is the Perplexity. So Perplexity, I think, is a paid service. So Perplexity AI. There you go. So I'll just say use my API looker model. So you can see that Chatbox allows you to also download this to install it on your machine and run. Now they all work with Olama. So if you've installed Olama on your desktop, on your machine, automatically Chatbox will pick it up, and any model you install, it will pick that up and it will allow you to use it internally, right? So that's one way. Or if you, like I said, if you don't want to download the model because you don't have the capacity or the space or stuff like that, then you can use this cloud ones. But today I'm going to show you, so this is it. If you Chatbot, I'm going to show you how to use all of it. So Perplexity, like I said, that's an online service. So you create an account and you use it online, right? And since we're trying to do everything local, that's why in this case, I'm not going to use Perplexity for it. So let's take a look at, whilst I'm trying to get my Olama to install, which is doing right now, I'll just go ahead and run the LM Studio. So that is this. So I'm going to run LM Studio. We're going to open LM Studio. So yeah, for anyone. Oh no, hold on. Sorry. So let's go to AI tools. I've already installed it, so I don't need to. So there is LM Studio. We'll run it now. The way LM Studio works is that it's on your machine locally, but it's integrated with a repository where you can download the models, right? So when LM Studio runs, you can go and say, hey, I want to use this model, and you download it, and then you start to test the model locally, right? So this is LM Studio that's running. But like I said, I find the third UI, which we are going to use, I find it more interesting because it allows us to do a lot of interesting things. Okay, so here, this is it. This is a local chat window, and as you can see, I can at the top here, it will ask me to select a model. Okay, so if I drill down, it will say, hey, do you want to download? It's recommending I download Llama 3.1, which is about 4.9 gigs of data that is going to be on my machine. But no, I probably want something else. If I want DeepSeek, I can type DeepSeek here, and yes, we'll go off, try to search its library for DeepSeek, and then it will bring it up for me to download. Let's see. It says there's an update. No, we won't do updates on the live show. So let's search this. Let's do DeepSeek R1. So search for DeepSeek R1. So as you can see here, this is the result. So it says, hey, DeepSeek. Now, you see, I was talking, you remember I told you about distillation, right? So this DeepSeek R1 distilled from Qwen 7B, which means that it was kind of trained. Some portions of it was trained based on the high training from Qwen 7B. It used that part of it, that knowledge base to kind of train it. And then there's the distillation llama, which is something common, in the industry, right? So if this is what I want, I can select it and then, pretty much run it. So if this is what I want, I'll just hit download. And again, this will download it onto my local machine. And then I can now come back to this chat space. And then it will just be like, I am chatting with the model locally, and it's not going onto any cloud server. All right. This is using LM Studio, but I don't want to use LM Studio. We're going to use a different one. So now let's go back to our, there's something, I think we'd finished installing Ollama, but let's see. Let me see if I can run it directly, if it would work. I don't want to. Truth is that I don't want to restart. I don't want to restart my machine. So let's see. It should record. Okay, yeah, it's running. All right, so Ollama is running in the background, right? So that's fine. Let me close LM Studio. Don't worry. I was going to show. I wanted to show how you see the Ollama interface. I've already installed it, but you know what? Let me do this because this is interesting. Don't worry. Let's do Windows PowerShell. Nope, there's something wrong. You know what? I'm going to try in Visual Studio Code. Let's do Visual Studio Code. Let's wait for Visual Studio Code to run. Ollama is running in my background, right? So let's do VS Code. Remember, once you download it, you go to models, you select the model you want, and then you have it. So this is what I would have run in the command prompt after. I'll just say Ollama run DeepSeek R1 and will default to the 7B and it will download the model, and then I can interact with it in the console, right? Like I was just how do you call it? Like I was just running it on any other system. So let's do this. Oh, I hate this, man. I hate this. I hate this. I hate this. Um, yeah, loading personal profiles. I think my system is. I freaking hate this. Okay, guys. I'm gonna do this. I didn't want to do this, but it's looking like I need to restart my machine and come back to the stream. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to quickly stop the stream, restart, and then come back to the stream, and then we'll finish it up. Or you know what? Let me try this first. If it doesn't work before we start, so let's go back to it now. Since I can see that Olama is running, if you look here, it says that Olama is running, right? So I'm gonna try this first. So the next thing, so we have Olama. Olama is the first tool we need, and you run it on your system and install it. Now the tool that I like us to use for the interface is this is the tool. It is OpenWeb UI, right? The OpenWeb UI has some very cool stuff. It has some very cool UI things that even allows us to side by side test all this model, and the UI is much chat friendly. It's sweet. Now to use the OpenWeb UI, you need to have Docker installed. So what you do is that you can go to Docker. Just go to the Docker hub here, right? And then you install Docker locally. And if you don't know what Docker is a kind of like a containerization, a container tool that allows you to test things without having to directly install them on your machine, right? So you need to have Docker. I already have Docker installed. So Olama, OpenWeb UI, Docker, right? So let's do this. I already have Docker running on my machine. So I'm going to run it, Docker desktop. And I want to try this because I know it's showing in my status bar that Olama is running. So I just want to go ahead and start the Docker and do it. So yeah, my Docker is running. So there you go. My Docker is starting. The engine is starting and all that. Because I have run this before, you would see a container in there, but I'll show you how to get it. I'll show you how to run. So what's happening is that it is going to download the container image for OpenWeb UI, run it on locally on your machine, and you can now connect it to Olama or any of the models you choose. And then it's going to be like localized. You can put this in your environment for your house use to use, your home assistants to use, your office to use. All right. So this is how simple it is. I mean, don't worry about the fact that I said, but to do this, once you have Docker running, just minimize it, and let's go to the docs of the. So click here at the top right. You see docs. So click on docs when you go to OpenWeb UI, and what's going to happen is that's going to bring you onto the doc. Now scroll down right here. It will say that quick start, right? If you already have Olama installed on your computer, right? Use this command. So we're going to copy this Docker command, Docker run, right? Docker run this expose 8080 to 3000 my local machine. And what this does is that it automatically connects to your Olama instance that is running on your machine and exposes that, that model for you, okay? Now, if you're leveraging an NVIDIA GPU on your machine, you can also use the second one. It says to run OpenWeb with NVIDIA GPU support. If your machine supports an NVIDIA GPU, you can use that command. So all you need to do is to do this, copy this, right? And again, go to your terminal and run it. As of right now, my terminal is misbehaving, so I can tell you that this will not run. But it's a good thing that I had already run it. So when you run this, what's going to happen is that you see that it says that conflict container name already open. So it's going to download the image, do all that for you, and you would have this image. So all you need to do is run it. So currently, this UI is running locally on my desktop right here. And you can see that at the top here, because yesterday I actually downloaded a DeepSeek R1 latest model here. And look at this. It's almost like ChatGPT, right? So I can say that, tell me about yourself. And now it is using DeepSeek R1 latest, which is running locally on my machine. Now, unless of course my Olama is misbehaving, then it should run. But like I said, permit me, I can see that my CPU is running is running wild because I'm using that to stream and to do all that. But now this is the cool thing that I like about this UI, right? Take a look at this. Let's go up here. Do you see this plus sign? Now, what that does is it allows me to select multiple models, and that's what I wanted to show. I would have gone ahead to download the Qwen and download maybe ChatGPT, another model, and then it allows you to compare multiple modules side by side with just one prompt. So if I click this, you see it, I can click this, and now I'll be able to select a model and select another model and then ask the same thing. Now, when I do that, I would see the responses from the number of models that I have requested. And that's the cool thing I like about this. And that's like the very, very cool thing I like about this. So if you don't want to have your data in China or whatever that is, download Olama, install it, download the Open Web UI, get Docker, run it, and now you can have all that locally. If you don't have the beefy systems, if you don't have the beefy setup, then you can go to Azure AI Foundry, right? So you can go to azure.com, set up for a free account. And then here, as you can see, introducing DeepSeek R1. And if you don't know how to do this, go check my other episodes. I've actually showed how to set up an AI project, how to add, a module, how to do a deployment, how to even bring that model into your application, right? So now I can now check out or use the DeepSeek model, which is now available in the Azure AI Foundry, right? So if you're not worried about sending data anywhere, you can try it directly on DeepSeek. If you have that anxiety and your privacy and all that, I don't want to send my keystrokes, you can use a combination of Olama and then all that. Or you can try it on Azure AI Foundry. So you can deploy the model, test it out locally without having test it out on a provisioning instance and don't have to worry about it. So let's go ahead. So now that I've actually shown how to do it, and yeah, it's actually 1 hour. Wow, time really flies when you're having fun with this. So it's an hour. I've shown you all the tools and how to do it. I was really hoping to get it, but what I'm going to do is that I'm still going to restart my machine, even though the stream officially has ended. I'm going to restart my machine, come back live again, and then try to do it again. I think there's something stuck or wrong with my machine. I need to probably restart it. I've run it. So I'm going to do that. And then we'll come back to the stream. But if this feels like something you like to do with me every Friday, and I mentioned that I'm doing a series on AI, Copilot, and all that. You're going to see a lot of that on the Friday show. We just started with DeepSeek. I'm going to show you how to use the models in your application, how to use it in your own things, so that's what we're going to be doing in this quarter's series. It's going to be on AI, Copilot, all that, right? So if this seems like something you want to be doing with me, make a day with me every Friday. Bring your questions, bring your suggestions. Let's talk about it. Let's have fun. I appreciate the time, but to show you, because I'm still itching, I don't want to move it to another episode. That's next week Friday. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to end the stream right now, but I'm going to restart my machine and come back again. So give me like 5 minutes, reconnect with me again exactly in 5 minutes, and then I'll show you hands-on how to run Olama, how to download the models. We'll compare it side by side. So with that said, Stick and stay with me. I'm going to restart my machine and then we'll come back live again. Give me a few minutes.